everybody. Welcome to Friday Bingo. And we have brought a monster project here tonight. We have got the DNA project, and we have M&Ms. I already know that Mags has had blueberries and biscuits as well. And we have the project leader of the DNA project, Karen, with us. So, welcome, ladies. Welcome to Bingo. This is where we educate everybody on projects. We give a little taste of what the projects are and how they operate, and we play some bingo games and win some prizes along the way. I have put in the first bingo card. I'll do it one more time because we're going to jump right in. This is a monster project, a monster hour, because I believe most people on WikiTree are curious about how WikiTree and DNA work together. And I know that talking with Karen and Mags earlier, tons of questions get emailed to everybody about DNA and who you're related to and how you're related to it. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, Karen is graciously going to answer the questions that we don't seem to pick up on in chat. I know you have a lot of questions, so feel free, start asking them. Hopefully, we'll answer them too as we're in here. So let's first talk about the DNA project on WikiTree. And I think the first thing to mention, Mags, is that this is broken down into two sub-projects.
It is. It absolutely is. The first one is the DNA Innovators. And what the DNA Innovators do is we try and keep abreast of the latest changes with genetic genealogy and anything related to the testing companies, new chips, new stuff's coming up. And we try and make sure that WikiTree is up to date on the latest information and the latest things that are going on. Beyond that, we make sure that we network with the community and with leaders in the DNA community for genetic genealogy. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that project. The second one is the DNA Educators, and that is a project that was set up a while back that hasn't really taken off because we just don't have people that are involved. So if you want to be involved in the DNA Educators, you can talk to Karen about getting into the project and helping. And what that work entails is learning about DNA features and being able to explain that information, following G2G, being a G2G integrator for the DNA group project, and work with the innovators team to help educate people about the new information that's coming out in the community.
And there's a lot of information. Now, I would say if you wanted to be on the educators team, you do need a good, solid understanding of DNA. This isn't one of those, let me jump in from scratch and learn. This one on WikiTree, the DNA project, you do want to have a little bit of knowledge, solid understanding of knowledge, but also, as Mag said, the different products and companies out there as well that are working. So let's dig into Mags. I love her profile, and we were talking about this, and this is actually her profile, and we call this DNA cousin bait. And why is this cousin bait?
I get so many emails from people every day, every week, wanting to know who I am, who we are, how we might be related. So people always ask me, what are all your surnames? Tell me all your surnames. And if I spent my time answering all of those emails and giving all of those people that information, I would have no time in the day. So what I did was I created this DNA surnames list. And what this does is this actually, if you click on one of those surnames, it takes you to my earliest known ancestor for that line. So the person who wants to know that information, I give them a link to that title section and ask them to look at that and look through the information, and they can hopefully find out. Oh, yeah. And you picked out one that my Macamoyles are very hard to research. You picked my Appalachian folk there, the Macamoyles. Yeah.
Did Max just say Appalachian?
I did say Appalachian. That's the drinking game tonight. Everybody have a drink of your after evening.
Say no more. We can do that. And then when you're up here, for those of you that are fairly new to WikiTree, what I love doing when I see a profile, I come up to this little drop down, see connection to me. And that kind of shows me the connection.
Oh my goodness. Will you DNA test, please? I need some DNA testers for that lot.
And actually, this one, my last name is Craig. You know, my last name at birth is Craig, but you're connecting this through my husband's line.
Oh.
So kind of interesting how that goes. Now, I did put in the chat a link for the Surnames app, and we're going to show you this real quick. This is that app, and Greg Clark created it. So if you click on the link, you're going to get this screen. This is me.
Yeah, I asked Greg if he could automate it so that what I built would be available for everybody. And what I do is I update it like, you know, every couple of months, because WikiTree's do such a good job of connecting. My earliest known ancestors might be changing and shuffling around.
And this is going to create the surname list for me, just like that.
Woo-hoo!
So not bad, not bad at all. And then you can just copy the text and put it on your profile page, just like Max did.
Yeah, and it saves me. I don't know how much time it saves me. It saves me a huge amount of times. So it is actually, if you go up to the apps, to the menu, and go find and go to apps, then you will see over there apps and go down to surname generator over to the left.
I knew she was going to pick that.
Oh, yeah. You got to go smaller.
Yeah, but then
in surname generator.
There we go. If you click that, it is one of the apps that's available. So yeah, you absolutely can. And WikiTree has another app that does that. For me, this is a little bit easier, and it puts things not in a generational list, which is the way the other one does. This actually puts it in alphabetical list. And when people usually call and say, hey, what are your surnames? They're not saying, what are your surnames based on the generations? They just want to know an alphabetical listing so they can look and see if they have any in common.
And look like, just like that.
There you go.
Somebody in chat just created it. Okay, that's great. Okay, so that's kind of what we were showing for that list, but we've got more cousin bait. So let me bring this up again and show you Mag's screen for a little bit more cousin bait. So you've taken it even further.
Yeah, I took it and I added my dad's terminal SNP, which is that RFTC 46937. And I added a link, and this, you can actually create this in an app as well. It'll create your direct line mitochondrial or Y-DNA, and it'll show whether or not the DNA confirmations have been done and whether they're confirmed or not based on the status that you pick when you're editing or adding that information into WikiTree. It's just an easy way to work with that information and get people to see that information.
And I think that's the part, get people to see the information. Yep. If they see, how are we connected? I see a familiar name, then they come down and they see that there could be some DNA confirmations. To me, just saying, yeah, we connect through DNA, that doesn't do it for me. I need to see how and why, and that's the DNA confirmations. We're going to talk about that as well. Then as we come down, I really like this, where you had DNA connections yet to be connected.
Yeah. And a lot of those, Elizabeth Langston Stone, I've actually figured that out since I actually put that up there. And it actually leads me to a connection that I have with a Revolutionary War heroine,
cool.
Which is really cool. But it also connects me with the Stone manufacturing family of Greenville, which I knew that we were connected because my grandmother's cookbook, of course, all good Appalachians write their family history in the cookbook, right?
They do.
You would go through these cookbooks and underline a name and put what their relationship is to her. So that was fun.
Again, I'm going to bring up the power of WikiTree. This is collaborative. When you have something like this up here, this is really collaborative where people are curious and interested. I know that there is a gentleman in Appalachia that is digging into odd and different avenues of his DNA. He happens to be connected to the Hatfields and McCoys. Who isn't in Appalachia, right? Well, you want to know which line or which descendant. So it's tricky. And if you have information like this and how you're connected, then people will understand it a little bit easier and be able to click through, like Mag says. And it's, again, just the collaborative nature. Now, let's talk about the confirmation citations. I know both of you, this is probably a situation where we see a lot of database errors.
Yeah,
We do.
yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah.
And we actually have one of our project coordinators, John Kingman. That is his thing. He does it every day, all day long. All he does is check people's DNA confirmation statements, because you can't just plop a note in a profile comment section and say, I've tested and I match other people in the family, so I've confirmed this DNA. You actually have to be able to go through and kind of prove that. And a lot of people with the autosomal DNA. So you see here, I've got an autosomal. Actually, that's maternal. So I don't have an autosomal DNA statement on my particular one, because I've been able to confirm my mother's relationship
I might have
mitochondrially.
one. I have one. Let me go down. This one, the ancestry DNA test.
There you go. And people don't understand that you also have to know some specifics about that. So I'm going to show you. This is a slide from one of the presentations that I do about DNA, and it's about triangulation. And triangulation is where you take 3 different testers at least. That's a triad. You take 3 different testers who are related to a most recent common ancestor through 3 different children of that ancestor. So I couldn't have 2 testers who are related to child 1 and claim that I have a triangulation with this other tester. You have to have a tester on each one of these children to be able to do that. And you have to know exactly how many segments on a chromosome, what chromosome, and you have to know the location of that segment. And now 9 centimorgans. This actually is for a family in Ontario, in Port Hope, Ontario, and their DNA match. He was born in 1793. So that's a very distant autosomal DNA match. 9 centimorgans is within the range that's acceptable, between 7 and 12 centimorgans, to be able to confirm a DNA match. So it's very important to have this information so that you can confirm those DNA citations, make those citations correct.
I am a little surprised that you have 9. That's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. I work between 7 and 9, especially for this one. This is a slave family that we don't know how they got to Ontario, but we know they're one of the earliest slave families in this part of Ontario, before or right after the Revolutionary War. He could have been a doughboy, which is one of the African American or the black troops that came up afterwards. He could have been an Empire loyalist. He was loyal to the Brits or the Tories during all this. We have no idea. We just know he's there. And because it's such a distant ancestor, that's why that centimorgan count is so small. But we not only have 3 testers, we have like 72 testers now that are a part of that project. It's a lot of work and a lot of great work. I'm working with Julie Huffman with the Los Angeles County Library. She's the genealogist for them. She's actually a descendant of that family. So it's been a lot of really good genealogy and good work.
And I think this is where a lot of people too get a little lost. When you get a little bit further back in your ancestry, you have to do the triangulation. And if you could repeat again, because this is the one part where I particularly find people like to argue with me about this.
Yeah.
If it's, below 5 centimorgans, it just is not
the
there.
Possibility that it could be a false positive is so high.
Yeah.
And it's hard to determine those. The other thing to understand about autosomal DNA that will help you figure out whether or not you can do autosomal DNA is it only goes back to about our 64 fourth great grandparents. And using Greg Clark's great tool here to show that, you can see the 64 great grandparents doesn't seem to be very far back. So if I'm 0 and I go back 1, 2, 3, and then 4 back here, you can't go back further very often. If you can, it's because of endogamy, where people intermarry within a group of people.
That's what I see.
Now you're speaking Appalachian.
I am.
Yes.
So here, Stephen had a question. Am I bad?
You're a very bad person, Stephen. No matter what's going on in the world,
All right, there's 2 opinions.
Okay, I can't be mean to people, can I? No, Stephen, you're not a bad person if you shorten it to 3. 3 can give you hints, it can give you clues, but it cannot be used in a DNA confirmation statement. It has to be above 7.
And I definitely 100% back you on that.
Yeah, and that's the side effect of
how
how we wash the DNA over the chip, right? When it's tested,
Yes.
we can say at every location you've got an A and a T, or an A and an A, or a C and a T. But we can't tell when we're making segments, when we're making short ones, it's a lot more likely that we're just crisscrossing from one side, of your family to the other and making up a segment that you don't actually possess.
And we don't want you guys to waste
if
your
there
time.
is endogamy,
Yeah.
you might actually be double linking to one part of the family that really isn't linked.
Somebody gave you a scare.
They did.
As Matt catches her breath here,
Oh.
I put the bingo card up again. And are you guys ready to play some bingo?
I have a very, very nice spousal unit that I didn't know who was walking around upstairs. There's not supposed to be anybody in the house right now. And I heard people walking around upstairs. So I'm sending text up saying, I'm live. I usually put a sign up so they'll know. And then all of a sudden the spousal unit appears with, this is good.
That's a good thing.
Oh my goodness, that's good. Let's go with bingo, man.
You're forgiven for the scare. Okay, guys, bingo. Let's talk about the rules for bingo. Same as always, you can get the bingo diagonally, horizontally, vertically. You need to get one of those. You don't have to get all of those.
Can you be upside down?
Nope.
No.
Unless it's diagonally or backwards, unless it's horizontally or vertically. Okay. So what you need to do is be the first to yell bingo in the chat. 5 of you could win at the same time, but whoever's quickest with the bingo chat is the winner. Do not close down your bingo card if somebody says bingo, because we have a lot of players that have won a prize already and they're not eligible. And they'll tell you, keep playing, but they just want to have fun and play bingo along with us. So I don't blame them. After this first game, I will tell you how to claim your prize. And
girls just want to have fun.
I know. This is girls' night, isn't it, for Friday? And if you notice, I changed things up slightly. You have, instead of the word free, you have a little icon in the middle. So you want to go ahead and click on that right now because you got a free space. I like that.
Are you going to put up the card so that we can see?
No, I only do this part because the cards are all random.
Oh, okay. And there are people now. I should look at the cards though, but there are people listed in the cards that you may recognize, like Roberta, who is Roberta Estes. Let's see. I don't know if she's on this card. Should I even talk about this now, or is that like giving away stuff?
Only as she comes up.
I won't talk about her then.
Yeah. Okay. ST, and we tend to go through these pretty quick, guys. So be really quick with your mouse. Okay. STR. These are all words from Mags. What is STR?
STR is short tandem repeat, which is a mutation on the Y chromosome. And you can have lots of those. So when you take a Y700 test, you have 838 STRs that are counted in that test. You can also have another thing. Autosomal DNA goes back to about our 64 fourth great grandparents.
And please keep that in mind. That's a very, very great tip she just gave you. It can only really give you the accuracy too. And everybody repeat that to yourselves.
64 fourth great grandparents.
70% of the fourth cousins.
That is the sexy DNA.
Who knew?
Yeah, so both men and women inherit that from their families, and men and women can pass that along. So you would have inherited that, though. If I inherited X DNA from my dad, it would be from his mother. DNA connections, that is the part of a WikiTree profile on the right-hand side of the screen that lists all the people on WikiTree who have a DNA test that connects back to that ancestor. See, I'm going to try and get done faster. EKA, earliest known ancestor for a line. Hurry up.
I know I've got a barking dog in the back, and I keep shoving him with my foot.
You've got stuff going on too.
Okay, I gotta do some quick.
That
Max
means
is a quick
23 pairs of chromosomes. All 23. A match. A match is somebody who matches you on a specific segment on a specific chromosome. Watson. Now, James Watson was one of the people who got a lot of accolades for discovering the double helix build of what DNA looked like. However, we may find out more about his discovery in a minute. I believe he won a prize for it. Mitochondrial DNA. mtDNA is mitochondrial DNA. That's DNA inherited by both children, males and females, from their mother, but only the ladies can pass it along to their children.
Because it's in our eggs.
It is. It's not in the center of the...
Right.
It's another word. Mutation.
It's in the part that doesn't
mutation. Stephen Greenwood is a mutation. No, I'm mutating. My mitochondrial DNA has a heteroplasmy, which means I'm mutating, meaning that my DNA is actually changing. So when your DNA changes, that's a mutation. People one away.
This is Thomas. You are really. If Thomas does not win, I'm going to be shocked.
Y111. That is the highest level of STR testing that you can get at Family Tree DNA.
I think Stephen said that he did it. Okay, so Yogi
he's laughing because I was picking on him again. He was laughing.
Okay, and then quick question: wasn't there a woman who was actually first?
There was, and she may be one of the things
what?
in our So Y700 is the SNP test that goes for 838 STRs, but it also measures single nucleotide polymorphisms, which is what the Y700 test looks for.
There we go. We got a bingo. I believe.
Bingo.
Christine. Hey, Christine, you were here early for both bingos, I think. So let me go ahead and write down your name because I have a terrible memory when I get started. Okay. So everybody started hitting bingo. You guys see that? It's everywhere. Okay. So Christine, what you're going to do is you are going to email Eowyn, and she is going to send you the information on how to go shopping. And again, there's the bingo mug. This is the all black one. There's a black and white one, but this is the all black one. This is the #1 seller in the WikiTree's store. So what you're going to do is email her. She will get you the information of what you can purchase. There's tote bags, there's mugs, there's shirts, there's all kinds of cool things, and take it from there. Just tell her that you won the bingo on the first DNA round.
I almost said it, but I didn't. I was very good.
Oh,
I almost said that word.
I cannot believe Thomas
didn't win. It was a joke, and but I would have spelled it nuclear. But I bet it's just a typo.
Okay, so let's go through some WikiTree profiles, and Max has picked, I think, at least one, maybe two Y-DNA and mtDNA profiles to show everybody before we do the second bingo card.
I gotta get it. I gotta get my screen up here. There we go. No, I got too many screens going on.
That is a WikiTree's life.
Where did it go? Did I actually close it? No way.
And let me
there it is.
There you go. And there's the second bingo card.
So here we go. Let me go over here to Okay, we'll start with mitochondrial DNA. Is that okay?
Whatever you'd like. That's perfect.
If you don't want to, that's fine. And let me make it bigger. So Bianca Curry Lowe is the earliest known ancestor for this line of family, this Curry family. And she is from Bar Harbor Island, Bahamas. If you look over to the right at the DNA connections, you see that there are 2 WikiTree's who are listed as mitochondrial DNA testers. So when I started looking at this, I realized that there was not a DNA confirmation statement. There are very few sources here. So I went down to the next 2. I actually clicked on this and I looked to see how Robin was related to her. And then I looked at how the other tester was related to her by clicking the relationship button next to the tester. And I looked down that list. So I found those 2 women. And I knew that I could add DNA citations to their profiles because you can't say that a mother is confirmed. You can say that the children of the mother is confirmed. So we have the children of this woman are confirmed. And I come down here and I see the source, maternal relationship. I actually updated it today. This relationship, this statement up here, you can see it's an older statement. So I updated it to this statement today because this person actually has upgraded their mitochondrial test since then. Instead of just having an HVR1 and 2 test, they now have a full sequence test, which includes the coding region. So I can do that. I can also click compare kits. And I can go over and I can do that on mitowidna.org. And I can see that they have 0 differences on their list of information. And I can actually see all of the different types of mutations that they have. So that's kind of fun to be able to do that.
Now, with the mitoDNA, would that help us break down some walls as well?
It could. It absolutely could. And it's fun that the new DNA confirmation citation actually lets you be able to do that when it writes it out. And did you know that there's an app for that? Did you know that?
No.
There's an app for that. So if you go up here to the DNA citation, let's see, did I do that? I went up to the DNA confirmation citation, which you can find in the upper right hand under menu, then go down to DNA. And this was the final page of it. I went over to her profile and I found Weatherford's WikiTree ID. And then I found Brenda Brandt's WikiTree ID. And I plugged those into the DNA confirmation citation maker. And I had it create the DNA confirmed citation for this family. So that's a really big thing. There's also a bonus with this match. I can actually go through with the exact same citation and add it to all the rest of these names as well. And you would find those names listed here for these other children.
So there is no longer an excuse for just saying, yes, I'm related to them because my mother said so.
Yeah, you can actually
You've got a confirmation statement maker that will do it for you.
So the next one we'll look at real quick is the Y-DNA for John Galding. There is one on the DNA project page, but the confirmation for that profile as an example profile is back in 2019 and needs to be updated. There's been a lot of changes with DNA since then. And so we have a big Y test, and this is for my earliest known ancestor on the Galding or Galden line. He's got a great profile with lots of information, lots of DNA testers autosomally. There's actually 2 Y-DNA testers, but one of them is not he's unlisted on WikiTree's, so I can't put him up. But I can use him in the match by calling him anonymous and giving him that name in the DNA citation maker and showing that he and my father match 604 out of 607 markers.
Wow.
Thereby confirming that 604 out of 607. So that's pretty cool.
Way over that like 90% threshold.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one. And showing that. It also shows a migration route that I trusted up to Rotterdam. And in Rotterdam, there was a big linen industry, and a lot of the people from Rotterdam went to Manchester, England, which is not an area that people have been researching for our family. So it would be interesting to see. You know, it's very possible, judging by the migration timing of this family, that when they went to Rotterdam, they were a part of that linen industry going over to England.
And that's what's cool, that you think of DNA just as science and just the technology, and sometimes we do as we look at it. And if you step out of the DNA for just a second and you trace, you've now found not only could they have gone to a different country, but what the occupation.
Yeah, yeah. Knowing you have to know more. You have to know the good genealogical information, and that includes what the occupation was of this group of people who happened to be going over to England at that time. Let's see. The last one I'm going to show you is a fun one for Fulton County, Georgia. You know anything about that, Sandy Paddock?
I do. I am like literally 1 block away from
One
Fulton
block
County,
away
Georgia.
from Fulton. I have family buried around that in that area. And I love her name, Tallulah. If I had a girl, I would name her Tallulah.
Which there's Tallulah State Park in Rabun County.
There is. And there's Tallulah Gorge. And
Yeah,
the
and I
Tallulah
will
Gorge Railroad.
never be able to hike that. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a river as well, isn't there?
No, I think
No,
there's
I'm
just a
thinking of the
gorge.
Chattooga. Yeah.
Like a big anyway. So Tallulah Augusta Sasser Rustin. She has a lot of good autosomal DNA testers. She also has a nice profile with information. It's obviously an older profile because it still has the old style footnotes on that section. Yeah. So not only is this a profile that I could look at for good adding information for the DNA, it might be a profile I want to update with a sources section, take the footnotes out of the sources section, but who knows? So there's a great paternal relationship based on an autosomal match. You get all of the GEDmatch IDs. And if you do the new citation maker, it'll give you the ability to be able to go straight off to GEDmatch to confirm all of this test information that is listed in this confirmation statement. A DNA confirmation statement, Sandy, is just like a source citation that we would use in genealogy.
I'm glad you said it that way, because it truly is. You cannot confirm a person and their life, their location, their dates, their people unless you have a source. You cannot confirm their DNA unless you have a source. And that confirmation statement has that data in it that confirms. So I'm so glad you said it that way, because we all know what sources are and we all know what we should be doing as sources. Same for DNA.
I apologize for my cursor doing what it's doing. I cannot control what it's doing over there on it's kind of fun though. It's like it's on speed.
And I do want to
see that my cursor on StreamYard.
It is a little interesting.
Yeah, it's caterwonky.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It sounds like Steven sees it too.
It looks like fireflies. Now, I know there is, and I can't seem to bring it up, but I do want to answer this question. I don't want it to go far. There is a DNA FAQ website. I had it up. I cannot find it now, but I believe this is a no to this.
Yeah, no, you would actually have to contact them and get them to give you permission. Now, Blaine Bettinger has on his genetic genealogist site a couple of release forms that you can download for free, that you can take to your DNA person and get them to sign off to give you permission to manage their information. But on WikiTree, because of the GDPR, you would have to actually go and sit with them, help them create their WikiTree or add themselves to the WikiTree, and then sit with them while they added their DNA. Technically, you cannot add DNA to somebody who is still living. You can't. Sorry.
And let's go ahead and address the other similar topic. I know on WikiTree that if you are an adoptee, you tend to have two profiles. One is your adopted family, one's your biological family. It is not recommended that you add the DNA to the adoptee family because that is not an accurate source.
And I have somebody in my family let me go to my WikiTree, to my profile, and get there pretty quick. I have a WikiTree, a family member who actually added their information to WikiTree. And she was adopted into our family. She's actually the person who was a part of our, let's see, let me find her, a part of the Betty Jean story. If you've ever heard me talk about that, Betty Jean. So she is listed as a daughter of theirs, but she's not a biological daughter. And I'm not going to show you anything more on her because her profile is private for privacy, but that is her, her birth profile, or her adopted profile. But down on her link, I have, Betty X's birth profile listed. Now let me make sure I don't have her mother listed. Yeah, we know who her mother is, but we're not showing it because we have to be respectful. We haven't been able to find her niece. She has a niece who is also a child of her mother and doesn't know she has an aunt. So we have to find her and let her know. So we can't put that on there. So she has two different profiles. Another good person to look at for double profiles is, let's see if I can spell this correctly. Have I got it? Langhoff? Nope. Langhoff. Here we go. And the very first one that comes up is Eowyn. Eowyn is adopted as well, and she has a great profile with lots of great information. But she has this cool sticker on her profile that shows that she has stuff for her adoptive family and stuff for her biological family. And she actually has, let's see, there we go. She has her biological profile here. Now, I know I can show this because Eowyn has given me permission to show her profile before. So I'm just going to extend it over all of the years forever and ever. Just
and so to keep in mind, too, so I understand as an adoptee, you feel that connection to that family, but it would not be correct to add the DNA to that. It's nothing personal. It's all science at that point.
And that nobody can take your family away from you.
No.
You grew up with them. You love them. They're a part of you. You are a part of that family. But your biological information, your birth information, you can't say that your adoptive parents have any connection to you through DNA. That's the only thing. You have to put that on a biological. And WikiTree does that differently than anybody else. You're allowed to have two profiles.
And that's true. And I think that's important too, because you do want to recognize the two sides for different reasons, probably as well. So I think that's important to mention. So we've gone over the DNA statements. So everybody now knows how to do DNA statements or with the app. And we've gone over a little bit about the cousin babe, how to do that surname. If you guys have any other questions, now's the time to drop them in, because we're going to get ready to do one more bingo. And then Mags has got some more information to show afterwards.
Carol,
I don't know how to help Carol with this.
Well, I do. Carol, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go and physically sit with him and help him. That's the only, and I did that with my dad. We sat together and he entered in his information. So that's what you're going to have to do. Sit with him and take the time. Go on a road trip.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't type,
he can tell you
if you're acting as their proxy. I mean,
you can be his typist.
Yeah, I'm imagining everyone else is typing for him.
And then he's already given her permission. So, and it's really interesting. She already knows she's got a match for him on WikiTree. So that's even more interesting. Can we talk a little bit about NPE?
I don't think we have talked about NPE.
No.
And did we already have that in the bingo?
Not NPE and not the E word. Either, but it does create a little bit of interesting. So, what
This,
happens when you do your DNA test and you find out that possibly a parent or grandparent was DNA matched and not your own? And I would say that, as you mentioned, your relative, be very careful how you enter things on WikiTree because
yeah,
you might not think your mama and your dad
yeah.
look at WikiTree, and they might not know. That might be a secret they're carrying. So, that's a little tricky. But anyway, could you
Can
tell?
you imagine being married to somebody, you had an affair, and the kid figures it out, taking a DNA test, and then
Yeah.
puts your affair up as their biological father on WikiTree?
Yes.
I would be shocked.
And the biological father did not know, say,
No.
or the father that you thought was your biological father did not know. So when we talk about MPEs, that's kind of like I like to say it's not the parent you expected. That's just
Yeah, what do
easy
you
way-
call it, Mags? Because I feel like it's not a non-parental event because obviously you have parents.
You have
and
parents.
It sounds like you've got more than two parents. You've got
Yeah,
your
I still kind of use
biological
the
and your
NPE,
logical.
but I usually say something happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something
Yeah, or
happened.
unexpected parentage.
I have
or
to say
something
that my
like
Canadian children say "idden." They don't say "isn't." They say "idden."
that.
So
Yeah.
keep in mind too that there are some privacy issues with DNA. So be smart, I guess, is the best way to say it, or have a conversation off of WikiTree, off of the DNA testing sites first before you start advertising
And
it.
Carol also says, "Well, I manage his kits everywhere else, and she can do that." WikiTree doesn't have the way to keep track of the legalities of all that because it's so public and open, whereas those DNA sites are very closed and not public. So in order to keep WikiTree public and stay in line with the GDPR, that's just the way it has to be done. We want to protect our big old tree.
I think that's fair. And then it's funny because then Carol also said that she had one of those experiences where her uncle was actually his biological child, and he did not find out until 61 years old, and the mother left him a letter.
Wow.
Gone. Wow.
That's interesting. And then Kevin has a different take. Hi,
Kevin Guy Campbell, my favorite Campbell. Okay, maybe not my favorite Campbell, but he brought the Campbell DNA project over to WikiTree. We'll talk about that in a minute. He uses MPE, misattributed parental event. Yeah.
And plus, if you say it real fast, then everyone knows what you mean because they just
misattributed.
And then if you're in Appalachia, we say something's not clean in the buttermilk. So
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought we said mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
Yeah, mama's not daddy's baby.
Yeah. 10 times fast. Are we still doing the drinking game? We're in trouble. Okay, let's do the other bingo card real quick because we still have so much good stuff. Mags has got some great stuff after this bingo card. So everybody get your bingo card. Same rules, horizontal, diagonal, vertically. If you've won a bingo prize with WikiTree so far, you're not eligible. Do not close down your bingo card yet. Okay, Mags, Living DNA.
Living DNA is a British DNA testing company, and they have, if you have Northwest European descent, they are the closest on their origins estimates.
Are their prices about the same?
Yeah, they're very very competitive. Yeah. Matrilineal line. Now that is your mother's line. It is not your maternal line. Yeah. So those are two different things. So matrilineal would be the kind of line you would want to test for mitochondrial DNA. Family Tree DNA is a company that does autosomal DNA testing, xDNA testing, Y-DNA testing, and mitochondrial DNA testing. Paternal line. Paternal line. The paternal line is all of the people on your father's side of the family. It is not the patrilineal line, which is the father's line. The paternal line includes everybody, all of them peoples. DNA ancestors. You can find your DNA ancestors in WikiTree by clicking on DNA from the drop-down menu on your WikiTree ID menu, and then click DNA, and then there's a tab for DNA ancestors. Patrilineal line, that's your father's 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 line. Nuh-uh.
Two-way. Both. We've got
Again
a
with
couple.
Thomas.
Roberta Estes. She is a world famous genealogist, genetic genealogist, and scientist. And she just wrote a book on doing DNA for Native Americans or indigenous peoples everywhere.
In a really awesome presentation last WikiTree Day, is specifically on that topic.
Yeah.
And that's still available, I think.
Ancestor Confirmation Aid. That is the ACA, and it is a page on WikiTree that can tell you how many of your ancestors you've done DNA confirmation work on. It's a really cool chart. You can see it all in one place. Blaine Betting, he wrote a book about DNA. He's also the genetic genealogist. If you look for his blog post, he was also very important in the early days of DNA on WikiTree. He did a lot of great work.
And a lot of us use a chart that he kind of came up with as well to track all those. What is a second cousin twice removed?
Yep, the Shared Centimorgan Project. He has 60,000 people who have participated in that statistical study to determine the ranges of how we share centimorgans with somebody and how that shows we are. Thomas.
And I got to tell you, I'm thrilled that Thomas, you won because you were so close last time. And I'm thrilled that you won too, also on Blaine's, because Blaine is awesome. He's really awesome.
Blaine is also a very funny person.
If you don't follow him on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, do so, because he's really, really great information. Okay, so Thomas, let me tell you what you're going to do. You are going to email. There you go. Eowyn, and you're going to tell her that you won the second bingo for the DNA project. She's going to send you that list, unless you already know. If you already know you want the world famous all black, not the black and white, not the blue, black and red, but the all black bingo mug, then you can just tell her that too. If you want to look around, go shopping, she'll send you the link and you can go there. It's really nice prizes too, guys. WikiTree is very generous with this. It's up to $30.
Woohoo.
So it's a really, really good deal. Okay, Max,
yes.
You have some things you want to show us.
I do. So I'm going to open up my slides again. One of the things that the DNA Innovators Project's really been working on, back in the day before GDPR, there was a site where you could use that place for free. The Noise Mug? What is that?
Nice.
No, noise. So you could actually have a place to put lineages and talk about how people were related to each other. They don't have that anymore. So what we've been doing is we've been working with people like Kevin Campbell to create DNA group projects on WikiTree. I'm trying to click the wrong page there. And FTDNA is supportive of this because they don't have a way of doing lineages and talking about stuff. So you can have a free space like the Templeton DNA Group Project where you can write all the information up. You can link off to other projects. You can show charts like this cool chart showing all of the Templeton testers and how their haplogroups or their SNPs go up through. You can see how, like, for the research that's being done for the Irish Templetons, you can see how they are completely different and separate from the Scottish Templetons, even though they all lived kind of in the same areas. So that's fun. Roberta Estes has brought her DNA group project to WikiTree because it's free and accessible. She has a similar chart up showing her earliest known ancestors and all the different testers down in that line. And you can use the relationship finder to do the great relationship trails that you need to have for those lineages for those DNA group projects. It's huge. It's a great thing that we're working on. And I think Kevin can tell you that it really opens up the area of being able to discuss things on a DNA group project rather than just talking about the data. The data is very important, though, but you can discuss the data. You can't discuss the data. There's just data there.
I would agree. And you're also, I think you're bringing in a little bit of the one name studies.
Yes.
Too.
The Campbell one name study would be connected to the Campbell DNA project. We have a fellow who is the DNA project coordinator for the Mayflower project. So he brought the Mayflower DNA project stuff over. There's actually a companion site that's a wiki site, but they're like backing up all of the information on WikiTree in case the other wiki site goes down, because it's not guaranteed to stay around forever like WikiTree is.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So what happens if we want to partner with it? Do we just reach out? Or these pages are on WikiTree already? They're
Yep.
connected through the one name
So
study?
Kevin works with the Campbell DNA Group project already. He's one of the project administrators, and he just contacted me and said, "Hey, I hear that we can bring our lineages and stuff over to WikiTree. Can you help me get that set up?" And so I have, and he has a beautiful Cam. I should probably let me see if I can find it real quick. He has a beautiful Campbell DNA Group project. Let me see if I can bring it up. I hope I don't upset him or embarrass him. DNA Group project on WikiTree. Let's see. There we go. Let me share my screen again. Okay. And I'm going to stop sharing that. Actually, I can take this over there. There we go. Look how beautiful that is. He's got the tartan up. He's got the coat of arms up. He's got goals. He's got DNA coverage. He's talking about the different levels of testing, which is great for people to be able to see that information. A lot of people, when they're joining the projects, they don't understand that. He can talk about the goals. He can talk about how things are inherited through the patrilineal line of a family. It can talk about how the mitochondrial lines work and the autosomal lines. He's also gone through and talked about the different types of testing and time scales. Let's see, test results. So he's even got links off to the actual charts over at FTDNA. And these are the data charts that I was talking about. You can have lots of great information for the Campbell DNA Group project, but unless you understand Black David Campbell of Augusta, Georgia, and Campbell's, oh gosh, why did I pick this one? Quillis, Pennsylvania. You don't really understand that unless you can see the lineage information, which you can over at WikiTree.
And this is, again, the power of WikiTree. That's a little different than what I talk about. Normally, I talk about the collaboration within WikiTree. We are now bringing collaboration outside of WikiTree and pulling it in.
So Kevin hasn't said a word, has he?
No, but he really should take a bow, because this is a beautiful and awesome page.
Beautiful. All right.
This is
probably, what is it they used to say on Saturday? I'm geflunk. What is it? What is it? When they would start crying, I'm gif something.
Okay, guys, this is your last opportunity. If you have any questions for Max or Karen, let us know. Oh, there we go. We've got Kevin. Let us know.
Ooh, thank you,
and
Kevin.
I just want to point out that there is a lot with DNA. I know there is. If for anybody watching this either now or in the future that is new to WikiTree and has a question about the DNA project, these two ladies are more than happy to help you with the DNA project. The biggest question that we get from newbies is, how do I actually upload my DNA into WikiTree?
And the answer is you don't.
Yeah, I know. Karen, you must get this a lot.
What kind of test you've taken. Verklempt. Thank you, Carol. Yes. I was verklempt.
There you go.
You don't upload any data into WikiTree. Right? You just tell WikiTree what kind of test you've taken, and then WikiTree's magic elves will do the algorithms to auto-populate all of your ancestor profiles.
That seems to be one of the biggest questions. Now, with that, you need to also have a little bit of caution, because sometimes people might add what they believe are factual ancestors, and they might not be. So when you see your DNA connections, As with anything with genealogy, you're only as good as your source and your source data. So keep that in mind. And that's why DNA confirmations really help. I expect everybody this weekend to take the next 2 days and go and do DNA confirmations. Does anybody remember what Mags told us? To our fourth. There we go.
64 fourth great grandparents.
So I think everybody can do that. That's fairly easy, right? That's only just a couple that we need to add in there. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. I really appreciate it because this has been a viewer request, is to have DNA Project come in and help explain things. So we've got a couple of the apps that we've explained. We showed you the DNA confirmation statements. We showed you the DNA cousin bait that Mags uses as well. If you have any questions, reach out to Karen and Mags after this broadcast. And that's about it. So thanks, guys. Thanks for
Happy
joining
weekend,
us.
y'all. See you in the morning,
Yeah.
Saturday.
That's true. Saturday live cast tomorrow
Saturday live
morning.
cast,
Don't
10
forget.
a.m.
Hey.